Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast today. These podcasts are brought to you in part by our sponsors, who really truly are what make these podcasts possible every week. O'Fallon Nutrition is a company that I've worked with for over 15 years. They're independently owned and operated, located here in O'Fallon, Missouri, right off of Highway K and Mexico Road. I call this place the Whole Foods of St. Charles County, but even if you are not located on this side of the river, it is still worth the drive. I can remember working all the way down at Powerhouse and still sending people out to O'Fallon Nutrition for their supplements. They are more than a supplement company. You can get grass-fed beef, salad dressing, seasoning for your cooking, hair care products, makeup, deodorant, toothpaste, essential oils, and all the vitamins and minerals that you can think of. If you're looking for clean, whole food nutrition, as well as home care, house care, skincare products, O'Fallon Nutrition is your place. You can take a look at them at o'fallonnutrition.com, or if you'd like to have something shipped, if you're listening to me from outside of St. Louis, you can certainly have items shipped. I know they do free shipping if it's an order over $50, and the phone number is 636-240-5283. Again, it's o'fallonnutrition.com. As well as if preparing your food on a weekly basis is your primary excuse for why you're not able to stay on a good, clean eating program, which is something that I hear very regularly from my clients, I would ask you to please take the time to check out Pure Plates. It's pureplatesstl.com. They are a phenomenal place. We get our food from there during the week. They deliver to our Integrity location. They will deliver to your house. They also are just available for pickup. You can go to their Chesterfield location or their Kirkwood location and just pick up meals for the day, as well as just having them delivered right to your door. So if preparing your food is your main excuse for why you cannot stay on a healthy eating program, then I would suggest just stop by Pure Plates. Just try it. If you're trying to lower your blood pressure, you're trying to lower your cholesterol, you're trying to get your blood sugar down, try to do Pure Plates meals for a week and just see how different you feel. These are organic meals. They are gluten-free. If you need them to be, they can be dairy-free. They are soy-free. You're not taking any processed sugars or meat-curing agents or preservatives. They really, truly believe in nutrient-dense meals that are just whole food nutrition. And I've had my clients, or I've made recommendations for my clients for years at Pure Plates. It's pureplatesstl.com, or you can call them to ask questions at 636-778-3555. Again, remembering that they have a location in Chesterfield as well as in Kirkwood that you can just run by and pick up a meal today. Everyone always asks me where I get my meat from, and given that I really eat meat on a daily basis, typically beef primarily, my meat is very important to me. I have an autoimmune condition and I want grain-free, corn-free meat, and I just haven't found the confidence in stores in knowing that I'm getting 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef. And I have searched and searched and searched for the right farm, and I have found the farm. It's fedfromthefarm.com, fed, F-E-D, from thefarm.com. These farmers are amazing. It's a family. They're here in Missouri, and they have the desire, just like I do, to see people well and to see people healthy, and they put a lot into what they do. It's such a wonderful family to support. They do offer 100% grass-finished, grass-fed, meaning that's it. A beef, and I get my ribeyes, I get my ground beef, my ground sirloin, I get my chuck roast. I mean, they basically have everything. They even have awesome jerky, but they also have eggs, they have chickens, and they have turkey. I'm planning on getting a turkey for Thanksgiving, and if you'd like lamb, they have that as well. But if you are in need of good quality grass-fed, grass-finished beef, or quality eggs, chicken, turkey, don't just settle for what you're getting at the local store. to go out on the internet and check out Fed from the Farm. That you can arrange a pickup or you can have it delivered to your home. And I can guarantee you're going to taste the difference. For me, my health actually depends on it. So I really thank God to have found such a great farmer. Fedfromthefarm.com. I hope it blesses you.
Welcome to Faith, Fuel, and Fitness, the Integrity Way, with your hosts, John and Debbie Morris from Integrity Training Systems.
Hey everybody, it's John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. If you haven't joined us before, we always like to talk to you about what it means to be a warrior, as the name of our show is The Warrior Show. And a warrior is a brave or experienced soldier or fighter. And what I love about that is that you don't have to be brave and you don't have to be a soldier. You just have to be an experienced fighter. And really, to do that, all you have to do is have overcome something in your life that required some effort. That would make you a fighter because you fought your way through it, and overcoming something gives you experience. And what's important about that is acknowledging that once you have the warrior mentality, you're capable of combating whatever it is that comes at you. And the importance of that is just not giving up. You know, when you think about the warrior mentality, it's being willing to fight. And I always tell people, I'm like, the toughest thing you have ever dealt with, you have overcome at some point. So when you're looking at your current mountain, you're looking at your current problem, and you're saying, this is hands down the hardest thing I've ever faced. This is hands down the toughest thing I've ever done. You have to acknowledge that you have said that before. Like in your past, you have said, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. I'm not going to be able to do this. And if you're sitting here saying it again, then you were wrong. You actually overcame that and you actually were able to do that. Sometimes it's so easy to get caught up in what is currently hammering at us or coming at us in the future that we forget what we have overcome. Now, I'm not saying to live in the past, but what I am saying is to acknowledge the past. Acknowledge what you've come through. What's fascinating for me is there are arguably times now in my line of work with owning a business that are harder than when I was a cop, for sure. But there are things that happened when I was a police officer that if I look back, I'm like, okay, I've been in standoffs. There were two situations where I got in a one-on-one standoff with somebody and I walked away and they did not. And so their lives are over. And those moments where like the intensity and the adrenaline and the fear, you know, you want to make sure you go home at the end of the day, you know, and then I've been stabbed. I've had all of these things happen, right? These intense moments, or even potentially you could say an angst of intense moments after things have occurred. And so I have to sometimes look back, and that's not to say that those are necessarily harder events than dealing with employees, making sure you make payroll. What's next for taxes? How do I grow the company? How do I get beyond where I am right now after 11 years in business? But what I do is say, okay, back then that really sucked and I overcame that. I am still here today. I do get to do something different because I did not lose my life. So I can take this on. And I just think that so many people just get stuck. You just think, I can't do this. Or, you know, sometimes it's weight loss. Well, it's just genetic. It's just where I'm at. I can't fight through this. Like there's nothing to fight. Or a common one is fear, you know, and it's like, well, I'm just afraid it won't work out. Or what if this happens? Or what if that happens? It's like, well, what if it doesn't? It's okay to be afraid of the future as long as you press on in spite of it. That's courage. You know, being willing to say, okay, like I'm going to go ahead and do this, even though something terrible like this could go away that doesn't work for me. And if you can press into that, I assure you, whatever you're dealing with, you're going to overcome it.
Amen. Absolutely. I think it's amazing when we take a minute and we think about how much we have overcome. Maybe we've overcome the death of a family member and we're still standing. Maybe we have overcome a traumatic illness that we shouldn't even still be here. Something so traumatic that everyone around you was certain that you weren't going to make it, and you're still standing. Maybe you've overcome losing a business or losing a job or, losing your home. And yet somehow you're still floating. You're still making money. You're still putting money in the bank. The reality of it is that if we put all of our emphasis and all of our focus on where we are right now, what our current situation is, what our major concerns are, and we never take a second to think, but I got here because and this happened, and I didn't fail. God continued to provide. God continued to supply. Healing was present. The loneliness and the isolation, it did start to slowly subside. Unfortunately, we don't have, always a way to, sometimes we can get in a loop. We can get in a loop of the failures. We can get in a loop of the fears. We can get in a loop of how bad things are. And in that case, we can set ourselves up for a lot of anxiety, a lot of health issues. We can even kind of set ourselves up for failure, because if we keep looping on the bad and we keep looping on all of the negative possibilities, then, I mean, to some extent, a lot of that energy that we're putting out there, it can become a reality. I mean, I've seen people speak into existence a lot of things into their life because they basically just believed such bad things about their life, even though God had always caused them to triumph in the past. They had just believed such bad things about their life. When it comes to being a warrior, I would say if I had to mimic any warrior, like I am married to a warrior. So if I was ever going to watch TV, it would be with him. And of course, it would be some type of a show about a warrior or someone who is like ready to destroy an entire kingdom or something like that. So I've seen some pretty powerful warriors on television. And I, again, also live with who I feel like is the mightiest warrior. I always feel protected. I always feel like he has our future. And every room we walk into, we're protected. But when I think of the mightiest warrior of all, it's emotional to talk about it. It's Jesus. He was triumphant. He walked the line for all of us. He was pierced for our transgressions. He gave his life for the mistakes that I have made, and that you have made. And he took a beating like the mightiest warrior of all. But what he really did was he continuously walked in kindness, concern, consideration for others that likely didn't even deserve it. He never gave up on people. And that's the true warrior. Yes, the cross, the crown of thorns. Obviously, he's a warrior for that. But where it really hits me is just the fact that he just kept healing people. The fact that every minute and every hour of his days that he was on this earth, he served. And he served to the best of his ability. He stuck to one creed, and that was the creed that his father gave him. And he was consistent. He didn't backslide on it. He walked in love, and he shared it with as many people as he could. So if there would ever be a warrior that I would want to model my life after, and what I spend every day of my life trying to model after, it would be Jesus. And there is just no better time in life than right now to get to know that warrior inside of you. But the warrior inside of you is created and it's protected by Jesus Christ. And the reason why it comes about is because of your faith in God and because of the security that comes from your faith in God. For more information on what we do at Integrity Training Systems with a 6-month nutrition program with myself or a free personal fitness assessment with any of our personal trainers, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com. For information on our live Q&A subscription program with myself, where we have 2 live Q&A video calls where you can sit there on a video and talk back and forth with me, and also have a community where you can get questions answered, you can share workout videos, you can share recipes, and just feel like you're part of a like-minded community. Take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call at 636-299-2208. And for gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. We just finished up the segment of talking to you about what it means to be a warrior. And I want to talk about something a little bit different. We're going to kind of shift here into candy. We're just going to talk about how great candy is and what my favorites are. And Debbie's going to literally end up striking me in the throat. So, I just want to talk about, like, it's so fascinating, the things that happen for holidays, especially in the United States, that revolve around food. And, you know, here we are at Easter, and, you know, Deb is talking about the crucifixion of Jesus and actually the reason for Easter. And it's fascinating to me that people even say, like, well, you know, Christianity is not real, or, you know, Jesus isn't actually Lord or whatever. But then they'll celebrate Easter, and it's like, what do you think you're celebrating? Are you celebrating a bunny? Are you celebrating candy? Like, what are we celebrating? But what's weird is anytime that there is a holiday, you see a shift in what the holiday is used for, and the marketing that goes into it's absolutely insane. And so I just want to talk about, like, I mean, kind of specifically candy. As we approach into Easter, you know, Easter candy hits the shelves like what, March 1st, you know, sometimes maybe even late February, you're already into it. And what's crazy is we've just came out of Valentine's Day candy, you know, so you have all these different, like your Reese's Hearts and your Sweet Tart Hearts, which are my favorite, like the Sweet Tarts. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, here's what's fascinating, okay? Sweet Tarts are fantastic in and of themselves, but I swear they're different. Like the little chicks and rabbits for like Easter, they're like a different consistency. They're more powdery. They taste better. Now, let me tell you something. Okay, I'm being playful. I haven't eaten these in, I don't even know how long, 8 years, something like that. But they are sincerely, in my mind, still different. This is on purpose, guys. They're engineered different. They are a different consistency. They do taste slightly different. They do have a different shape and size, and they're to the holiday, and you're in the holiday aisle. It's all a ploy to get you to eat this stuff. And you're all, you know, everybody's eating it. Like it's kids. Like we were at church and this past Sunday, and I watched a guy, and he was just being nice, but I watched him give some kids candy. Like, hey, would you like a piece of candy, to these little kids? And, you know, of course they want a piece of candy, you know, this Easter candy. And it's like, but here we are, we're feeding this to children who are about to leave church and go hang out in the afternoon with their parents, probably like psychos. And maybe they do eventually end up taking a nap, which is great because then the parents get a little break. But it's like, you know, what are we doing? You know, it's like kids are sneaking candy. They're hiding candy. They're at the store asking to buy it. And it's like, why is John harping on candy so much right now? Well, because we never really get away from a holiday season where that's used. Now, we can go into all foods like that, but I challenge you to think about, like, when you're in a holiday season, a lot of times holidays revolve around stress lately. You know, it just seems like people get so stressed out. And stress eating is a real deal. Stress addiction to food is a real deal. And people are dumping into this crap, and then they wonder why they're fogged. They wonder why they're exhausted. They wonder why they don't feel good. They have digestive issues. They can't get their brain right. Their energy's low, and they don't associate. People never want to associate it to food. And this is just something that Debbie and I see nonstop coming into the gym, is this complete disassociation with what is being consumed. And it just elevates so much around the holidays.
I mean, also just, from a parental perspective, there are just so many parents that, well, I don't want my child to not be able to get an Easter basket full of candy. I don't want my child to miss out, to feel like they're, being left out, to feel like they're kind of isolated. Surely this will cause them to have an eating disorder if I don't get them Peeps, or if I don't get them the Sweet Tarts, or if I don't get them this big giant milk chocolate bunny. Surely this is going to cause them to have an eating disorder. It is so real. It is truly where we are as a society, that if you are attempting to keep your child from eating garbage on a regular basis, or if you yourself as an adult are trying to keep from eating garbage on a regular basis, and the way you're doing that is by eating a well-balanced diet, nothing that's super calorie restrictive, you're just eating healthy foods, you are considered not the normal one, not the healthy one.
Why are you on a diet?
You're considered the unhealthy one, because somehow you're creating disordered eating by staying away from poisonous, toxic foods, and by positioning your family to stay away from poisonous, toxic foods. And suddenly, somehow, you are the one with the issue. It's actually considered dieting to eat healthy. It's considered dieting, to stay away from sugar. I don't know when this shift happened. It is the strangest thing to me. I'm 50 years old, and I'm telling you, when I was a child, when I was 5, when I was 6, when I was 7, when I was 8, when I was 9, when I was 10, when I was 11, when I was 12, I was not given candy every day. I was not. We had a small garden in our backyard. We had vegetables with every single meal. I was not given candy, other than on Halloween. I was allowed to eat some candy for about 2 days. 2 days, then it got taken away. On Christmas, I could have cookies. On Thanksgiving, I could have pies. On Easter, I could have a chocolate bunny and a package of Peeps. But I didn't get to eat on candy for the rest of the month. I never got to eat candy other than that.
I just want to add this real quick. You talking about eating healthy is recognized as an issue. They actually even created a name for this. It's orthorexia nervosa, which they call an obsession with eating healthy foods with associated restrictive behavior. And it says, however, the attempt to attain optimum health through attention to diet may lead to malnourishment, loss of relationships, and poor quality of life. Now, here's what's crazy. Okay, I'm going to give you, there might be a 0.01% of people that are actually like this, where they're driving themselves into this super odd position, trying this new trend, trying this new fad, the amount that this verbiage gets thrown around, maybe they don't use that exact name, but just in regards to people being healthy, is absolutely ridiculous. And if it's causing a loss of friendship because you're trying to be healthy, I don't think that's the healthy person's problem. I think that might be a friend issue.
I think that's not the friend you wanted anyways. For more information on what we do at Integrity Training Systems with a 6-month nutrition program or a free personal fitness assessment with any of our personal trainers, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. Kind of just went off talking a little bit about candy and just the season. You know, we're here in Easter, and, you know, it becomes about the bunny, and it becomes about the egg hunts, it becomes about the candy. And you know what? I like the egg hunts. I like the bunny. When Sophie was growing up, it was fun for her to wake up and have a basket. But one of the arguments is always like, well, I don't want them to miss out and not have their candy and stuff. You know, we would give her maybe one hollow chocolate bunny, and then like a dark chocolate bunny, so she would get her candy. But then we would
get those gummies that were from O'Fallon Nutrition.
Right, yeah,
what they're called, but they were
something
like
sweets,
a healthier gummy.
yeah,
Smart Sweets,
yeah. And so again, she wouldn't eat these all the time. This was just like for Easter, so she still got her candy, but they were cleaner. And then we would just buy her like stuff, little toy, shirt, you know, whatever. You know, something like that, so that it wasn't all about the candy, and we weren't chasing candy for the rest of the day and into the next day or whatever. And then when she would do Easter egg hunts, whatever candy she would get, we would trade her. You know, we would trade her sometimes money, or, you know, turn it into a toy or something like that, so that she wouldn't want to sit and eat the whole thing of candy, and so that it wasn't around making me want to sit to eat it either. Because listen, you don't have a heart attack and be told you had a heart attack because you were fat by a doctor and not like you some candy.
Right.
You know, so it's like my secret to success is I just don't let it be around. That's my discipline.
Right.
You know, and I tell people that all the time. I'm like, some people are disciplined enough that it can sit in their pantry and they won't eat it. That's fantastic. If that's not you, then get it out of your pantry.
Right. I mean, it's a definite temptation. And I mean, it doesn't have to just be candy; it can be anything. But
right,
it
yeah,
is
exactly.
An absolute temptation. I have some clients that they can't even keep healthy nuts in their pantry.
Right, they'll eat the whole thing.
They just keep going back and back and back and back and back. And I just have to say, there are some foods like candy that you can have and maybe potentially have a little bit more of it than what you should, and you can be unable to not go back. It can set you up for such a shift in your body that mentally you're like, what is wrong with me? I can't even control this right now. Like, right. I'm mentally out of control. I have sat across the table from so many people that have said these things to me. I can't even count anymore over the past 28 years. And they say, like, I don't know how, but I was at a gas station and I walked into the gas station and I came out with so many things, and I can't even believe the amount of it that I ate on just my drive home. And then I had to hide all the trash, and I'm humiliated, and I feel sick for the next couple of days. But then I wake up the next day and I feel like there's some sort of weird roaring lion inside me. And like, I'm not going to be okay if I don't go back to the gas station and get something. This is something that someone would, you know, many people have told me. And so we have to think about what was in that candy that you ate, what was in it, what drove you to need that, how did it shift your brain physiologically, what did it do to your brain that's causing you now today to be in such a down, depleted state that you don't think you're going to survive without getting more of it.
Well, and that's exactly how drugs work, you know, and these things that we're eating, that's what they are. They're drugs. If you look at what they're made of, you look at their chemical composition, you can find that. I mean, study neurochemistry. Look at the way it works on the brain and the nervous system. And what sucks is when we try to help people break these addictions, first off is there's 3 layers of what's happening. One is neurochemically, you are imbalanced. Your body is actually craving and then detoxing these chemicals and these substances when you're not having them. The second part is you actually just want them emotionally, mentally, your flesh, the way they taste. And the third problem, there's such a disassociation from society to food being a problem. So like if I do heroin, okay, I have 2 of those things happening. I have the desire to have it because my flesh wants the high, and then I have the chemical addiction inside of my body. But society is like, hey, quit that, okay? And so I have a chance of my friends and family, other than the ones I'm doing drugs with, trying to prevent me from doing that drug. But if you're a diabetic or have sensitivities or allergies to food, or you're just trying to lose weight, or you're just trying to feel well, maybe you're not even trying to lose weight. Your weight's where it needs to be. You just feel like garbage. You want to feel better. It is odd how much people do not rally around you. Oh, come on. You do so good. It's one piece of pizza. Oh, come on. Really? Is it going to kill you to have a couple drinks? Or like, I'll have clients that come in like, well, I have to have drinks this weekend because we're meeting with clients. And it's like, that. Okay, I understand you're saying that's what you do, but you can't get like a seltzer water or something? Like, they're going to be offended that you don't have a drink.
I
don't know.
Find that to be so completely weird.
Kind of weird and fascinating and
There'd
odd.
be absolutely no way that I could drink at that client meeting. I can guarantee you I would still maintain that person as my client.
Right.
And I might even get respect from them.
Right.
That I am that disciplined.
Right. And so, the whole concept of just do it, like just get over it. It's not that easy because you're dealing with a chemical imbalance. So these people, if you're someone who's not understanding a situation with somebody, recognize that they're actually fighting to overcome something. So if you're also someone that's watching someone fail repetitively on trying to eat clean, and you're just like, well, why don't you just give up? You never do it right anyway. Understand that they're battling on a chemical level to actually try to line their neurology out so that they can think about being healthy and well and not having it anymore. And anxiety and depression are so attached to this. So many people walking around in our world right now are being diagnosed, treated, and medicated as anxious or depressed, and they don't actually have it. So they're having this medication because their baseline is fed by garbage. They're being medicated in the garbage state, and now it's a roller coaster. And they don't understand. It's like, well, just be in a good mood. Just be happy. Don't be anxious. Just don't be depressed. And there's a legitimate chemical imbalance. That person's not like, oh my gosh, you're so right. I'm not going to be depressed anymore because you told me how I should not be. Why didn't I think of that? That's not how that works. They might actually have something that they can't overcome. They can sit down and write it all on paper. Yep, don't got much to be anxious about. They can sit down and write all the positive things going on. Yep, that's really good. They can write how they're going to deal with the things that they even have that they could be anxious about. And they're going to say, there is no logical, rational reason that I would be anxious right now, but I am. And what is that? That is a chemistry issue. Now, if you're eating perfectly clean and you still have that, you might require some medication to balance that out. But if you're not, then I challenge you to take a look at what you're consuming, because you may actually be giving yourself anxiety or depression.
Especially if it's not your ultimate, always lifelong nature. You know what I mean?
Right. If it started to show up.
If really just started to show up. I mean, and you're kind of like thinking to yourself, I never used to feel this way.
Right.
When did this start to become so bad? When did this start to get so strong? I think I'm actually going to have a panic attack,
yes,
or something like that. If you're having these types of conversations with yourself, then we really want to look at what you're having. Like, even just that sugar could be throwing off your kidneys. That balance could be throwing off your hypothalamus. You could be at a point where your mineral absorption has shifted, and that mineral absorption will definitely shift when if you look at the ingredients on a Sour Patch Kid. Okay, look at the ingredients on it. Your minerals are going to shift when you are over consuming that much sugar, that much dye, that many syrups, that many waxes. Okay, I mean, I'm sorry. I know I'm not any fun. Okay, I know you don't want to take me out to dinner anytime soon because you're not going to have much fun with me. But I'm just telling you, if this is something that you're dealing with, even your mineral absorption could be off. And when you're not absorbing minerals appropriately, do you have any idea how many things can happen? You can feel like you're going to pass out. You can feel total doom, gloom. You can feel pure exhaustion. You can feel shaky. You can get tremors. You can most definitely feel anxious, most definitely. This is all just from not having proper mineral absorption. This isn't even the spike of your blood sugar that happens.
And think about that. Like if you're eating crap, like I mean, I know he wouldn't mind me saying it because he'll own this, but like my own dad went through a phase where like his morning breakfast, he would get up and he would go to Quick Trip on the way to work and he'd have a Quick Trip hot dog on a bun with a Diet Dr. Pepper. And then he would eat other things throughout the day, but like you're not even getting the minerals to absorb.
Yes.
So like, what are you running off?
That's right. That's right. At some point, your brain, your heart, and your kidneys all basically start to collapse. And when you start to really like narrow in a day and you're thinking to yourself, I'm so foggy. I can't concentrate. I can't find a way to relax. The noises around me I'm so much more sensitive than I used to be. The lights around me, I'm so much more sensitive than I used to be. The personalities around me, I'm so much more sensitive than I used to be. Why was it that I used to be able to have enough energy to last me all throughout the day, and now I'm falling off by 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and I want candy at that time of day because I just don't feel right, and I feel like the only way I'm going to feel okay is if I have something sugary. There's probably some truth to that. Your blood sugar is probably so all over the place that there is probably some truth to that. Your body is probably screaming at you, telling you this is what it's going to take to get you back to normal. But the problem is that it's not actually getting you back to normal. It's getting you back to where, you've been with all this bad stuff. Now, John and I sound like radicals, right? We sound like we're just these crazy radicals, never eating any candy, never having any fun, never wanting to do anything. We're too restricted. We're totally out of balance. Don't think that. John had a heart attack when he was 27 years old. He was plenty imbalanced. He lived that life. I had plenty of candy growing up on my own. When I got out of my parents' house and I was broke, and I lived off of a candy bar because that's all I could get.
And you hadn't ate it as
so all
a
I
kid.
could get my hands on. Yeah. I made myself so sick, and sure enough, I have an autoimmune disease now. So I'm just telling you, we're not radical. We are passionate. We are God-fearing, God-led, God-driven people. And when we speak through this microphone, it is because we have discernment that we know that you're on the other end of the microphone listening, and we know that your life will transform and change if you make a decision today to do something different with your food and with your movement. For more information on what we do at Integrity Training Systems with a 6-month nutrition program or a free personal fitness assessment with any of our personal trainers, or my online subscription program with 2 live Q&A calls with me personally and a group healthy community, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. We just left you talking about food, and I just kind of want to continue with that because I think that this is something that is really just sweeping the nation as far as putting people into cloudy states, and there's just so much revolving around mental instability now that can be tracked to food. And there's the crazy part is there's studies that are showing that all of this can be tracked, and yet there's still such resistance against it. And regardless of how you feel about the direction the government's going with health, it is fascinating to watch the things that are being attacked. These removal of dyes, this requirements of chemicals as well as ingredients going into food. And there's all this resistance and hate towards it. And it's like, guys, look at other countries. You know, these other countries, these things have been banned for years. And they're just across the board healthier than our country is. I mean, there's a reason for that. And the amount of people I talk to that are, listen, if you guys are listening right now and you deal with what you would actually describe as irrational anxiety, depression, bipolarism, your PTSD of whatever you've dealt with in the past is overwhelming. You're noise sensitive. You get noise polluted too quickly. Things bother you too much. You're aggressive. You're always irritable. You're angry. If you're any of these things regularly, I question, are you eating yourself to that? Isn't it worth, even if you're not trying to eat differently, to weigh that variable out if that's what it could be? Wouldn't it be worth getting your life back if it just meant changing your food? Debbie worked with a guy at one point. He lived in his parents' basement. He was an adult. He couldn't go out because he was diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic. And he just ran off of sugar, Mountain Dew and candy and bad food. And it was all delivered to the house. And he just ran off that. So his parents brought him to see her. I actually stayed at the gym when she would meet with him at times that I didn't need to be there anymore because of how he was capable of being based on what his parents had told us from a dangerous perspective. And he went on after actually locking his food down to no longer being diagnosed as that. He went on to having a family. He got married. He got a job, got out of his parents' house. All of these things. Now, we're not claiming we can cure paranoid schizophrenia, but what we are telling you is his brain was sick. And what was making his brain sick was his food. And as someone who has dealt with extreme anxiety and extreme depression and has been suicidal at multiple times in his life, I'm talking about me right now, I can tell you that changing my food changed my life and it gave it back to me. And if I slip, because I'm not perfect, over the years when I have, those emotions creep right back on the edge. And so if you're listening and you're dealing with those, like I promise you, it's worth trying to change your food.
Oh my gosh, it's not only worth trying to change your food, you're going to change your life. There's two circumstances that have come up with my own family. I could tell you years worth of circumstances that have come up where I've watched people change their life with food, but two circumstances with my own family. My husband, we took him to the Amen Clinic. I studied under the Amen Clinic for a brain health coach certification and saw a brain scan that really, like, all the symptoms linked to the things that my husband was dealing with. So we spent a considerable amount of time and money, went to Chicago, did brain scans, worked with the Amen Clinic, finally had our discussion with the psychiatrist, and it was a 3-hour discussion. And she just looked at my husband and said, "You cannot eat gluten. Like, you are inflaming your brain every time that enters your body." Now, let me go to one other circumstance and then I'll round back. My daughter had a thorough stool test because she had excessive bloating, excessive swelling in her body, extreme. I mean, 40 pounds worth of fluid was on this girl's body at a very, very young age. And we found parasite. We found a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. We found infection all in her body. And then we went through this thorough test that talked about what her body was sensitive to. Under the word gluten, under gluten was a skull and crossbones on the report, basically saying...
I mean, it looked like when you have a logo that says poison.
Yes, like a logo that says poison. And what was interesting was on the side, it said, if overconsumed or even in small doses, this could cause suicidal tendencies. This could cause mental disruption. Why would I want my child to continue to have gluten? I will go to war to make sure my child doesn't have gluten. Why would I want my husband to continue to have gluten? A professional psychiatrist, one that we spent thousands of dollars to work with, all this time and energy, says you cannot have gluten. It is setting your brain on fire. And why would I do it? Why would I want to do it? I already knew this stuff going into this. I already knew these things, but I had to be able to prove it to Sophie's mom. I had to be able to prove it to John so that he now is like, I'm not going to eat that stuff anymore. This isn't worth it to me anymore. But guys, if you're out there and you're dealing with multiple medications, you're dealing with systemic inflammation, you're dealing with all these ups and downs in your body, digestive issues, autoimmune issues, one of the first things you can do is take that ingredient out of your diet. Take the gluten out, take the corn out, take the soy out, take the sugar out. Consider being away from dairy for a little while. These foods will really draw down histamine response in the body if you're not having them anymore. But this is two small examples. Now, this is my family. That's why I'm using them. But just two examples of two completely different people, completely different ages, completely different sizes that have had substantial issues. My daughter this year, I mean, I guess it's okay now for young kids to drink coffee. And so we determined that the very first month, all of her friends were drinking these Dunkin' Donuts coffee drinks at school, and we watched our daughter's health decline.
Yeah, and we didn't know that was happening. We just watched her health start to decline, and then she was like very low and just down, and her energy was just off. And we're like, what is going on? You know, we started asking her, like, are you okay? Like, what do you know? And she's like, yeah, she'd come home from school tired. She'd end up falling asleep in the car. I mean, just oddities, you know, and then that's what we end up finding out. She was consuming these things. And it's like, how many kids are doing that at school right now?
Making it available.
Yeah.
Up to a sixth grader could walk up and get these drinks. Now, as a parent, you might say, well, I'll take my kid to a psychiatrist. I'll take my kid to a counselor. I'll do whatever it takes for my kid to not have those low thoughts, to not be in that depressive state. But will you? I mean, will you do whatever it takes? Will you stop giving them soda? Will you stop allowing them to have coffee drinks, even though all of their friends are having coffee drinks? Will you stop allowing them to have the food dyes, all the sugars, all these regular things that all their friends are having? And most of their friends are on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications.
Upset them right now so that they'll thank you as an adult. Because right now, if you just decide to let them continue to do this as an adult, you have to watch them suffer.
They're going to watch them suffer. They're going to spend the rest of their life being up and down, never really knowing what it could be like to have a balanced life, to truly be healthy. For more information on creating that balanced life, on a 6-month nutrition program with myself, or my monthly live subscription program where you have 2 live Q&A calls with me and an amazing community of healthy individuals, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com for a free personal fitness assessment with any of our personal trainers. Give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com. Thank you for listening, and God bless.